McCrory, Boxing Social, with the man at the moment. My good pal.
Hey mate, alright?
So, yeah, very good pal. You?
Sam mate, can't complain.
Coming off another great win. Rocky Fielding.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was an unreal week in Germany. Ever since the fight was made, I kept saying to Rocky, I know he, style-wise, styles make fights, it's the old cliche. I just knew he could beat him, I knew he had the style to beat him, even though Zeuge was unbeaten, so it was more of a difficult task in the sense that there's not that sort of blueprint there to beat him. I picked a few little things out of the stuff that I've seen from him before where he was a little bit temperamental, he was open to the body shots, and he was always showing out to the ref, always looking for a bit of help. So I said, that's not a great trait for a fighter, and if you can hurt him, and you see him showing out like that, and just jump on him, make him look for a way out, and that's what he did. I know Rocky punches a lot harder than people understand. I think his record says that he's a decent puncher. I think he's 50-50 knockouts, but he punches a lot harder than his record says, and I think Zeuge was surprised by that.
He comes across as a very strong individual, but also a very mentally strong fighter.
It takes a mentally strong fighter to be able to go to Germany, deal with the occasion, fight away from home, but I've got to say, I think that was a positive for Rocky this time. Sometimes fighting at home in front of your own crowd brings added pressure, whereas this way he was allowed to go away from home. The atmosphere is not the same as fights in the UK. It's real rowdy, and the fans get behind the fighters over here. In Germany, it's really placid and laid back. And all you could hear was the Liverpool fans, so I think it helped Rocky in that sense. So it was a great week, great performance by Rocky, and it set himself up now for big fights in the future.
I mean, for you to get a world champion, obviously it's a great plus for yourself. I mean, what did it feel like?
I've got to be honest. A few people have asked me the same question, and I'm just more happy for the fighter. The reason I do this is because I know how hard it is, you know how hard it is to be a fighter yourself, and it's a lonely sport. There's a lot of times when you're on your own and you have those negative thoughts in your head, and you want a little bit of help. I honestly feel like, especially the atmosphere in the gym is fantastic at the minute. I feel like I'm able to sort of pass my experience on from being a fighter. All those downsides to my career, what I had, I feel like I've learned a lot of lessons in that. I can pass that on and help the lads deal with different situations. And I think a lot of the stuff what I'm helping the lads with is not just tactical and stuff like that. It's psychological stuff. That sports psychology that I feel is about 70% of the actual sport itself. So I think Rocky, me being able to just spend a lot of time with him that week and we sort of talk our way through the fight, even leading up to it that week, stood in a good stead for it, and he put in a great shift.
You said a very poignant thing there, that it's tough. It's a tough sport. We know it's a tough sport, but putting a bit of fun into this is something that a lot of trainers forget. And we keep seeing the posts of you guys. Yeah. And you can tell that it's a happy camp.
Well, it's working, and it's very unconventional. And I've got to admit, at first, even though it's a big belief of mine that if you create that sort of environment, you'll get the best out of the fighters. It was a bit of a risk to take, especially at the level of the fighters we was taking on board. So it could have easily looked like, if Carl Frampton loses a fight, or Martin Murray or Rocky Fielding, you can end up with egg on your face. Yeah. And especially the training camp early on in the year where we all went to Tenerife, and we had an absolutely unbelievable training camp, and unfortunately Billy Joe Saunders pulled out, so Martin Murray didn't get to perform. But we had some great performances by Carl against Denaire, Tommy Coyle against Masha, and that then I put a tweet out after it saying, listen, I didn't want to sound like wise after the event, but I said I just wanted to put this out there now, that a happy fight is a dangerous fighter. The proof's in the pudding with the performances now, so in 12 months time, don't start coming back to me going, oh, this is because you're all having a laugh in camp, because we do have a laugh and we do enjoy ourselves before and after training. I think it's a massively important thing, but it's a little tiny snapshot of a moment in time.
Of course, it's got to be a bit of fun, hasn't
exactly.
it? You know
It's not like we're constantly messing around.
Yeah, you're putting all the hard work in.
When I'm in the gym and I'm taking it serious, I'm the most serious person going. But then I'll be the first one to crack a joke before it, and the first one to crack a joke after it. I think it's a real good blend what we've got at the minute in the gym, and it balances really well.
Well, to be honest, just to go back, Martin Murray. Yeah. For his disappointments, you know, and Martin's a serious kid, lovely guy, Martin, you know, and a very good fighter. To get him through that last fight, you know, to get him, to keep him mentally on a mental, you know, in a mental position to want to go through the fight, not just to, you know, say I've had enough. You know what I mean? That's great in itself.
You wouldn't believe. You know, I love Martin Murray. He's such a lovely human being, right? And
me too, but don't tell him.
I'm not scared of many things or many people, but you can imagine the anxiety going through me having to go and tell him that Billy Joe pulled out for the second time. And I was like, oh God. So he was going up Mount Tider to do the run, and I knew he was going to have to still fight, so he had to do that run. And I knew if I told him before the run, he wouldn't do it. So I let him go up the mountain and do it anyway. And then he came down the bottom and I told him, I said, listen mate. And he just went, he just said, right, I'm going. He drove off, I'd give him a couple of hours and he came back. And I said, how are you feeling? He went, do you know what? I'm gutted, but I'm all right. So that's experience. And you know, he's 36 years old now. And even though he's had some tough fights along his career, he's had a lot of inactivity in between those tough fights. So that sort of stood him in good stead. So physically, he's able to still do it. Mentally, he's still able to carry it through, as he proved last time. And then psychologically, he's now got all that experience behind him. So if he gets that opportunity again now, and he's got all that experience behind him, he's going to be a tough fight to beat.
Carl Frampton. It's obviously, you know, he's doing great. You've got him back in love with the game, which is
that's half the battle sometimes at that stage. 31 years old, and especially, I think, you know, again, I'm old school in some ways, the way I do things in the gym, and then I'm real sort of modern in some of the other stuff. Some of the scientific approaches we've done recently, and I've been banging on to Tommy Coyle, for instance. I've trained Tommy more or less just him in the gym on and off for the last 5 years, and I've been telling him constantly he trains too hard, too often. And fighters are obsessed with getting themselves fitter or stronger, and that's a good trait in one sense, but you've also got to be able to listen and take on advice by people who've been there, who know what they're doing, who know more than you in that area. And Carl was definitely training too hard, too often, and I think him being able to sort of take on board the science side of it, Manchester Institute of Health and Performance, where we're working with now, it's just an unbelievable place, great facilities, and he now knows, you know, he's got the stats to prove that he's fitter at this stage now as he was for the same stage for Dinair last time, and then that was the case from the fight before that against Garcia. So it's not just like guesswork, it's not like we're going, I think you're fitter, or I know you're sharper. It's there. You know, the statistics are there, and again, added then to him physically being in a better shape than he's been for years, to then be mentally in a better place as well. That combination is dangerous. It really is.
What's the pressure like with a fighter like Frampton? Because he is one of the worldwide names. You know, he's a big name all over the world.
Yeah, and I think if I overthunk that, if that's a word, overthunk, if I overthought it.
No, that's not a word.
I'll take it though, from Salford. I think if I sat there and dwelled on that, and like, oh, there's a lot of pressure on me here now, then I'd create my own pressure. Whereas I believe in what I do. I feel like, you know, we've been around this game a long time, experienced, and I'm probably wise beyond my years in that sense. I remember being sat in Billy Graham's gym as a 16-year-old delivering beer. My depot was based around the corner from the Phoenix camp. I'd go in there and have my dinner and just sit back for 4 years before I turned pro. I watch him train, and I've learned so much just by watching. I rang Billy Graham actually after the Rocky Fielding fight to tell him that the shot what I told Rocky to finish Zeuge with, the first time I ever seen anybody teaching somebody to throw that shot was Billy Graham talking to Ricky Atlin when he was a 17-year-old guy, talking about lifting the head up, to take the attention away so he can land a body shot, and it'll have a bigger effect. So those little those things what I've picked up on along the years, really, I probably wouldn't have ever picked up on if I didn't deliver beer and my depot wasn't around the corner from thinking. Do you know what I mean? I've been lucky enough and blessed enough to be in certain situations where I've been able to learn off so many knowledgeable people, and I'm just enjoying passing it on to
this stage in Carl Frampton's career, probably the final stage in his career. Can it be the best stage in his career?
So. I think he's 31, so you know, he's looking after himself a lot better now in between fights. That means he's going to prolong his career. I think he's got a good 2 years where you're going to see the best Carl Frampton. I think, you know, going back to the Martin Murray situation there, he's now at that stage in his career where he's got a lot of experience. He's now looking after his body better, and mentally he's in a really, really good place. So that as a combination altogether, it's a dangerous fighter. You know, I believe he was overtrained, even when he probably beat Santa Cruz the first fight. You know, no knocking on him, but I just think physically, if he was overtrained and he's put a performance in like that, then you know what can we see from him in the future? You know, Luke Jackson for this fight, we wanted a higher level opposition, obviously, but just wasn't able to make a bigger fight at this point in time. So we got the best what we could, and this fight, I believe, will show how much beyond that sort of level Carl Frampton is. He's flying in the gym. He's in such a good place mentally, physically, and I think you're going to see a big performance.
Good luck, mate. Look forward to seeing you there. God bless.